There's a lot to talk about after the last game, and one of the most interesting storylines that started to gain attention again was the development of Jaxson Hayes and how his role could evolve in this Lakers system. When people think about Hayes, the first thing that comes to mind is his athleticism, his ability to run the floor, finish lobs, protect the rim, and bring energy. But lately, there's been a small detail in his game that could turn into something much bigger if it continues to develop, and that is his ability to shoot from the outside. He knocked down another three-pointer recently, and while the sample size is still very small, it brings back a conversation that has actually been happening for quite some time. The idea of Jaxson Hayes becoming a player who can space the floor, even if only occasionally, could completely change the way the Lakers' offense operates. Right now, most teams defend him expecting to roll to the basket every single time. Defenders sit in the paint, they prepare to stop the lob, and they don't really worry about him outside the key. But the moment he becomes even a respectable outside shooter, everything changes. If Hayes can develop a consistent outside shot, even if he only shoots in the mid-30s percentage-wise from three-point range, that would already be enough to force defenses to adjust. That means opposing centers would have to step out of the paint to guard him, and when that happens, the lane opens. Once the lane opens, driving becomes easier, cuts become easier, and especially the pick-and-roll game becomes much more dangerous. Instead of only rolling to the rim, Hayes could sometimes pop out to the perimeter, catch the ball, and shoot. That hesitation from the defense, for even a split second, can be the difference between a good possession and a great one. What makes this idea even more interesting is the fact that Hayes is still relatively young and still developing his game. Players often expand their skill set as they gain experience, and adding a mid-range shot or a corner three is not something impossible for a player with his athletic ability and work ethic. We have seen many big men in the league start their careers as rim runners and later develop a reliable jumper. It is part of the evolution of the modern game, where versatility is more valuable than ever. Another important factor is how this would impact the two-man game with Luka. When you have a guard who can control the pace, attract defenders, and create opportunities, having a big man who can both roll and pop becomes extremely difficult to defend. The defender cannot just commit to stopping the lob anymore. If they stay back, Hayes could step out and shoot. If they step up to contest the shot, Hayes has the speed and explosiveness to go past them and cut to the rim. Suddenly, the defense is forced to make decisions instead of reacting automatically, and that is when offenses become unpredictable and dangerous. Right now, Hayes is often limited offensively to being a lob threat, and while that is valuable, it also makes him somewhat predictable in certain matchups. We have seen teams in the past focus entirely on removing the lob option, and when that happens, his impact on offense can decrease. But if he adds even one more offensive dimension, whether that is a mid-range jumper, a corner three, or pick-and-pop situations, he becomes much harder to neutralize. That is when a role player starts becoming a real weapon. Defensively, he has already shown improvement in discipline, positioning, and timing. Offensively, his chemistry with teammates has improved, and he looks more comfortable in the system. So the next logical step in his development would be expanding his scoring ability beyond the paint. Not replacing what he already does well, but adding to it. That is an important difference because the Lakers do not need him to become a high-volume shooter. They just need defenses to respect the possibility that he might shoot. Imagine lineups where every player on the floor is at least a potential shooter. That spreads the defense thin, opens driving lanes, creates space for cuts, and makes ball movement more effective. Modern offenses thrive on spacing, and having a center who can occasionally step out and knock down a shot is a huge advantage. Even if he only takes 1 or 2 shots from outside per game, the impact could still be significant because of how defenses would have to adjust. This is why player development is so important over the course of a season, and especially during the offseason. Small improvements can lead to big changes in how a team plays overall. If Hayes continues working on his shooting, improving his decision-making, and staying disciplined on defense, he could slowly transform from an energy big off the bench into a player who can play heavy minutes and be part of closing lineups. And for a team with championship ambitions, Having players who can grow into bigger roles is always a huge advantage because it gives the coaching staff more options, more flexibility, and more ways to attack different matchups. Building on the first phase of his development, the conversation around Jaxson Hayes increasingly revolves around his potential to become not just a lob threat, but a multidimensional offensive player. One of the key aspects that makes Hayes so intriguing is his combination of athleticism, speed, and body control. These traits already make him a nightmare for defenders when he's running the floor or finishing around the basket, but the possibility of him integrating a reliable jump shot into his repertoire opens a completely new layer of strategy for the Lakers. When defenders can no longer assume that he will roll every single time, they're forced to play him honestly, which immediately creates opportunities for his teammates as well. Hayes' potential impact on pick and pop actions cannot be overstated. If he develops even a moderately consistent three-point shot, the offense gains the ability to stretch the floor in ways that were previously unavailable. For example, when a guard like Luka drives to the basket, the opposing big must make a choice: stay close to contest the shot or step out to guard Hayes, which then leaves the lane open. That split-second hesitation or miscommunication can be the difference between a contested shot and an easy dunk. Moreover, if Hayes becomes a threat from mid-range, defenders have to worry about multiple angles, which multiplies his effectiveness. It turns him into a versatile offensive weapon capable of creating mismatches and opening the floor in ways that go beyond his natural athletic advantages. Defensively, Hayes has continued to show growth in both awareness and positioning. His ability to guard pick and rolls, rotate quickly, and provide help defense in the paint makes him a formidable presence on that end. Adding a shooting threat to his offensive game does not detract from these qualities. Instead, it complements them by keeping opponents honest and making sure that Hayes is not easily neutralized. When defenses cannot collapse solely on the paint because of his outside shot potential, it makes the Lakers' defensive to offensive transition even more explosive. Every step Hayes takes toward becoming more versatile amplifies his impact across the board. Furthermore, the psychological impact on opponents should not be ignored. Big men who are primarily finishers around the rim can sometimes be taken out of rhythm if defenses focus too heavily on their finishing ability. Introducing an outside shot changes that narrative, forcing defenders to respect him both inside and outside. When defenses must constantly adjust, hesitation grows, rotations can break down, and scoring opportunities multiply. Hayes' ability to keep defenders guessing increases the efficiency of the entire Lakers offense because spacing becomes a weapon, and it amplifies the effectiveness of every player on the court, particularly those who thrive in transition or can exploit defensive rotations. Another factor is the impact on end-of-game scenarios. In clutch situations, teams often rely on predictable sets. Lob threats roll, shooters space the floor, and guards create. Hayes could provide a rare combination of athletic finishing and shooting potential, allowing the Lakers to run plays that are less predictable and more difficult to defend. Imagine a late-game possession where Hayes sets a screen, rolls, and then pops out for a three, depending on how the defense reacts. That unpredictability is invaluable and can make a significant difference in playoff scenarios where half a possession can determine the outcome of a game. The Lakers' ability to deploy Hayes in multiple roles could be a game-changer when crunch time arrives. Finally, Hayes' trajectory is promising because he is still in the early stages of his career. Players with his athletic profile and work ethic often continue to expand their skill set as they gain experience in the league. His ability to develop a reliable outside shot over the next few seasons could be the difference between being a role player and becoming a cornerstone of a Lakers lineup. If Hayes continues on this path, the team not only gains a more versatile big man, but also a player capable of creating strategic advantages in multiple phases of the game. The combination of transition dominance, interior finishing, and potential perimeter shooting makes Hayes a unique asset, one that could redefine the Lakers' offensive approach while maintaining defensive integrity. The potential for Hayes to expand his offensive repertoire does not diminish his existing strengths. His athleticism, ability to finish around the rim, and energy on both ends of the court remains central to his game. The goal is to layer new skills on top of what already makes him valuable. Modern basketball increasingly rewards versatility, and players who can combine traditional skills with new ones often find themselves in elite roles. Hayes has the foundation to become that type of player, blending athleticism, defense, and now an outside shooting presence into one cohesive package. As Hayes continues to develop, the Lakers have the opportunity to utilize him in ways that few teams can replicate. His growth can open up a variety of offensive sets, provide new spacing options, and allow for more dynamic team play. He could be the difference between predictable half-court sets and an offense that constantly keeps defenders on their heels. Even minor improvements in his consistency and range can have a ripple effect, improving opportunities for his teammates and creating a more dangerous, multidimensional attack. If Hayes manages to combine his physical gifts with the ability to consistently hit shots from the perimeter, he could become one of the most versatile big men in the league. The Lakers would benefit not just from his scoring, but from how his presence reshapes the way opponents defend and the freedom it gives to the rest of the roster. This is why Jaxson Hayes' development is such an exciting storyline, one that has the potential to redefine his role and elevate the team to new heights. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the whispers are growing louder across the league, and in Los Angeles, they're beginning to feel less like speculation and more like an inevitability. De'Aaron Fox, one of the NBA's most electrifying point guards, is being heavily linked to the Lakers in what could become one of the most intriguing moves in recent memory. Sources close to the situation suggest that conversations, while still unofficial, have gained momentum behind closed doors. The idea of Fox in purple and gold has quickly captured the imagination of fans and insiders alike. Known for his blistering speed and ability to control the tempo, Fox would bring a dynamic element to a Lakers squad that has been searching for consistency in its backcourt. League executives are said to be monitoring the situation closely, with some believing that the fit makes too much sense to ignore. Fox's attacking style, combined with his improved scoring touch, could unlock new dimensions within the Lakers' offensive structure. There's also a growing belief that his presence would alleviate pressure from the team's primary stars, allowing for a more fluid and unpredictable system. Still, questions remain about what it would take to make such a move possible. Trade packages, salary considerations, and long-term strategy all linger as potential obstacles. Yet, in a league driven by bold decisions, the Lakers have never shied away from making headline-grabbing moves. Around the NBA, the buzz continues to build. Players, agents, and analysts have all weighed in quietly, hinting that this is more than just idle talk. If the rumors hold any truth, Los Angeles could soon welcome a player entering his prime, ready to embrace the spotlight and the expectations that come with it. For now, nothing is official. But in a city where stars are made and legacies are written, the mere possibility of De'Aaron Fox donning a Lakers jersey is enough to keep the basketball world watching closely. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.